Hello, Jacob, and welcome back to another episode of
Mom!
The left is trying to take over the world again.
And today, we're going to be talking about Candace Owens, the self-proclaimed conservative lightning rod that runs a show on the Daily Wire called Candace. Now, I know what we're thinking. Cribby, I hope Candace gets hit by lightning, seeing as she's a lightning rod. And yes, I echo that sentiment, but let's try to keep this civil, okay? That was a little rude. Watch your mouth. But yes, this is going to be a close look at both Candace the show and the host herself. This is the second video in my ongoing series on the Daily Wire, and if you haven't seen the first part, I'll leave the link in the description along with all the sources and videos that I shout out in this video. Without any further ado, let's talk about Candace. Candace Owens was born in Stamford, Connecticut on April 29th, 1989 to a low-income family and apparently shared one room with both of her sisters. Both her mom and dad worked tirelessly to put food on their table and struggled to support their children. Around the age of 11 and 12, Candace moved to her grandparents' house and says that she's been through more than most people have in their entire lives in just her first 8 years. When Candace was in high school, she got racist death threats over her voicemail from her white classmates, as she described in a TEDx talk, saying that she sued the Board of Education as she believed it didn't protect her. The board then gave her $37,500 as a settlement. Owens states that she has also gone through anorexia and that her dad was an alcoholic. She originally planned to go to college to study journalism but had to drop out junior year because of the student loans. After, in 2012, she became an intern at Vogue magazine, and after leaving, she took the job of administrative assistant of a private equity firm in Manhattan. She later became vice president of said equity firm. Surprisingly, in 2015, Candace started off quite cynical to the right and would make anti-conservative and anti-Trump posts. Later in 2016, Candace started a Kickstarter for a website called Social Autopsy, which was quickly shut down because people were rightfully saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't dox people. Around the year 2017 is when Candace's opinion on politics flipped, and when she started to be more publicly conservative and pro-Trump, specifically on her YouTube, where she made a channel called Red Pill Black. Oh my lord. From 2017 to 2019, Candace appeared on many conservative media outlets such as Fox News. A development arose for Candace in 2020 when she announced that she may run for governor or US senator. And honestly, I would pity any state that she would want to govern.
Yikes.
She also announced that she was joining the Daily Wire, a very unfortunate development indeed. And now that brings us to present day, where Candace says she might run for president in 2024. If this happens, someone find me and kill me, please. So that is Candace's life story, and it's a strange one. From poverty to fame, from leftist to conservative. It's been a bumpy ride and the final destination is not pretty. But let's get into her content. So now we look at some clips from Candace, her show on the Daily Wire, but before we do that, I gotta get into the right form. Much better. Generic gameplay commentary. So anyway, Candace's show formats itself like a talk show. She'll invite people on and talk about issues because she's not smart enough to be able to talk about them on her own, and she also doesn't have enough charisma. So she requires the help from other right-wing political commentators like Ben. So, let's see what Candace has to offer.
All you Karens out there who have your panties in a bunch about the fact that doctors are starting to use the term pregnant person instead of pregnant women, I want you to listen up. Women are people. Non-binary people and trans men are also people. So this term includes everyone that was born with a uterus and could be pregnant.
Okay, so first and foremost, if your doctor looks like that, and if your doctor tells you that, you need a new doctor.
Personally, I don't know why you would be upset if your doctor looked like that. She wanted to dye her hair because she wanted to dye her hair. What's the problem? Also, just to point out, I agree with the doctor here. What's the problem with saying birthing person? Maybe, like, you don't want to say that term, so you'll just say, like, a woman? Fine, whatever. But why do you care if someone else uses the term? That doesn't make any sense. Also, what she's saying is entirely correct. Are you saying that women aren't people with uteruses and that trans men aren't people with uteruses? Because they are, like they biologically are, so I don't understand what you're saying here.
This is like what I expect to see if I was walking through a psychiatric facility. Sincerely.
What mental illness do they have, Candace? Just being wrong? That's not cause to go to a mental ward, Candace. Maybe someone should have taken psychology. I don't know.
These people are memes.
Yeah.
They are literally memes. They are the things that DC Drano posts on his account and says this is what the left represents. It's like, but these are actual people. Actual people are out there with these ideas. It blows my mind.
I never want to hear this 40-year-old fucking dumbass looking man saying the word meme ever again. I never want to hear that ever again. That was painful. Also, I don't know what's so outrageous about saying birthing person. Like, genuinely, please calm down.
I mean, it's important to realize, because those kids, especially the younger people, you know, I have no truck with the adults. You should never be, practicing medicine if you believe that men can get pregnant.
Oh yes, because you would know so much about practicing medicine, good sir. It's hilarious how these people are trying to make more sense about medical sciences than an actual doctor. Like, come on, man. What is wrong with you?
Right.
But the children who are saying this stuff, to me, those are victims. You want to talk about like victimhood, right? Those are the people that, when you talk about the elite, which practically now exists to scoop people's brains out with a melon baller.
That has to be the funniest phrasing of fear-mongering that I've ever heard. Fucking pulling people's brains out with a melon baller. Like, what the fuck?
It chases people around, essentially, and destroys their brains. Like, this is the result of it. And their unhappiness is on the hands of the people who preach this garbage, who go into the schools and tell them this, right? And the terrible, terrible ways that they suffer, and they do. I mean, it's Orwellian the way that they suffer. This is all on them. I mean, we cannot let this go.
And every time we've introduced a new app, people have gotten more and more insane, right? So there was like Facebook and Twitter. That was like when I was in high school. And okay, cool, we're connecting with each other, and that seems okay. And then you get Instagram, and suddenly it's all about people being naked and, making it less clothes for likes. It's all about getting the like.
Candace, people are literally butt naked on Twitter. What the fuck are you talking about?
And this started when I was in high school with Facebook. Now you've got people, their 4-year-olds are on TikTok, and the parents are not aware that this is what they're seeing.
Candace, tell me genuinely and with a straight face, what fucking 4-year-old is watching trans TikTok? What the fuck are you talking about?
One thing that's really important, I'll just say this real quick, Brent. One thing, like when watching some of these videos, you can see on the side, I don't know if you guys know TikTok, but there will be a thing that shows the comments. And so many of these people who make these horrible leftist TikToks, they turn the comments off because the left doesn't debate.
No, they turn their comments off because hate comments are extremely prevalent on TikTok and on YouTube. They turn their comments off because they don't want to be fucking attacked. That's different than not wanting to take criticism.
The left doesn't debate these ideas, so they turn the comments off so that conservatives and people with different ideas can come on and correct them on these things.
You completely contradicted yourselves. If conservatives have quote-unquote a different idea, that means that it can either be proven nor disproven. If you're saying that they have to correct these people, that is immediately demeaning and takes away any credibility from their arguments, you dumb fuck.
I'm on TikTok, okay? Sorry.
Freakazoid.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a freakazoid, okay? What is a man?
In our midst.
Candace's laugh is genuinely horrifying. Like, just listen to her fucking laugh.
Yeah, that's why we need parents to be parents. Stand up to your children. You don't get TikTok, you don't get none of this social media. If I catch it, I'm breaking your phone.
Holy shit. Dude, bro was legit silent the entire fucking video. And then he speaks up at the very end to be like, by the way, if I see TikTok on your fucking phone, I'm breaking it, boy. Like, holy shit.
And she went to a Turning Point USA event, you can buy tickets online. It's not difficult to get, to become a VIP at the Turning Point USA event. She was a VIP person at the event, whatever that means, allowed into VIP rooms. And they have an annual conference called SAS, which stands for the Student Action Summit. And they revoked her pass and revoked her VIP membership once it was raised to them that you had a porn star walking around. Now,
Normally, I would agree. It is the institution's right to decide who is able to go and who is not able to go to their event. It is their right to choose, and therefore they would have been fine to kick Brandy Love out. The problem is that she paid for her VIP ticket. She actively gave them money for it. If she paid for it, then she should be able to use the benefits of the money that she paid. That's how capitalism works, Candace. Not only that, but why did they allow her to be VIP in the first fucking place if she was always a porn star? Just what the fuck?
I also want to add to the fact that when I say she's a porn star, I don't mean like used to be a porn star. I mean, I had never heard of her. I went to her Twitter wall and saw a full frontal nude.
Candace, I'm not sure if you're blind or something, but that's clearly not full frontal. The mid part of her body is clearly differently colored from her arms and her legs, and also there's the fact that she's facing away from the camera, which means that it can't be full frontal. Like, Candace, come on.
Which is amazing. Apparently you're allowed to be full frontal, legs open on Twitter, but you can't be a sitting president. And like, that's weird.
Candace, full frontal, legs open on Twitter doesn't incite violence on January 6th, 2021. What the fuck are you talking about?
Were they wrong to kick her out of the event is my first question. The second question is she a conservative?
The first question, I think the fact that she was a VIP makes it a little bit different than just a normal attendee who wanted to pay and to listen to people.
Yeah, okay, but she paid for her VIP tickets. She's still an attendee who wanted to pay and listen to people, so you're still wrong.
Now, is she a conservative? I think with like so many things today, we have to define our terms. What does it mean to be a conservative? Does conservative mean kind of in this libertarian sense that, you know, it's just small government conservatism where we let everyone do what they want to do. We have no morality, no rules whatsoever. Or does conservatism really work within the confines and the parameters of the Judeo-Christian ethic of biblical values? I think that it's the latter.
Not every conservative is Jewish or Christian. That just doesn't work as a definition for what fucking conservative is.
Kogan.
Were they wrong to kick her out of the event? No. And the reason they weren't wrong, in my opinion, is because you're dealing with minors. It's the same premise as you can't, it's a similar premise, as the government forcing our children to participate in Drag Queen Story Hour.
That isn't happening. Also, is it similar to parents forcing their children to go to a conservative convention where they're going to learn Judeo-Christian values? Wait, no, it's not? Why? Oh, is it because it's something that you believe in? I see.
Right, and that doesn't mean that you have to be a Christian.
And look,
Oh my god, I fucking love this. This is hilarious. The fact that she started to say something with actual value, like that you don't have to be a Christian to be a fucking conservative. The second that she says this, fucking everyone starts clapping and they completely fucking ignore her.
And I think it's worth having a debate about, okay, what is within the confines of conservatism and what isn't? You brought up Meghan McCain. She is an amazing advocate for pro-life values, and she went into the lion's den every day to do some things that I think a lot of people would have had a really hard time doing.
And to me, I think for me, where I draw the biggest line is anything that's antithetical to family, right? That sort of inhibits just the breakdown of family. To me, it's just not conservative.
and by the way, let's be very clear about the man-woman issue. That isn't necessarily a conservative issue. That's just reality. People need to understand.
Right.
Forget party. That's just reality. And so I think it is a good conversation to have, as you just point out. It's good to define these terms, and it's good to have these debates.
What fucking debate? You all agreed the entire time. Like, you all were nodding in agreement with each other the entire fucking time. Where was the debate, you dumbasses?
Well, your show makes everybody wonder, what did we do before this show?
I'll tell you what I did before this show. I loved my life. And now I'm sitting here listening to the insane ramblings of an idiot who believes that the left is a death cult. More on that later.
Jesus said you'd be better off to go kill yourself than do that. Tie a rock around your neck and jump in the ocean. And so I brought that up to the school, and I said, you realize that's what it says, right? And now let me read this to you. Does that sound like you're causing kids to stumble? Well, I can tell you a lot of people got upset, but a lot of more people got up out of their chairs and went, bingo, we cannot allow this.
Teachers, instead of teaching our kids the curriculum, why don't you go and kill yourselves?
Bingo, we cannot allow this. So all the people that were pushing that nonsense are now gone. They all got fired. They're all out of there. And the parents are now watching.
Well, I see that the crowd is very happy for some reason.
But you did not make it out of there without being burned, literally.
Well, they literally burned pictures of me out in a parking lot. A guy calls, he said, wow, I've seen like the 50th guy now has burned a picture of your face. I said, did they start with the mustache? I really hope they started with the mustache.
Fucking demonic. But in all seriousness, really, how real do you think that story is? I give it a solid -5 out of 10.
Even at 9, 10, 11 years old, they're figuring out something ain't right going on.
Wait, but I thought kids were stupid and dumb and couldn't make any decisions until they were adults. Are you telling me I'm wrong?
Or run for commissioner or mayor. They're doing other things that they can get in there and really fight effectively. And I think that's what parents have to do today. They have to stand up and be heard and be seen.
I'm sorry, but most parents, especially most parents that watch Candace, are not qualified to run for mayor.
Hello and welcome. Every time I'm at home and I'm ranting about a headline and going, why is the left doing this? My husband says the same thing. He says it's because they're a death cult.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, dogs and cats, grandpas and grandmas. This is the clip that we've been waiting for. The left is a death cult.
I've never actually paused to try to understand why he says that over and over again. In fact, I assume that he's making some weird Star Wars analogy. My husband, like most husbands, loves Star Wars. He thinks it's one of the greatest films. And I, not so much. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna be a diplomat about the Star Wars movies.
Well, the early original trilogy of Star Wars movies are some of the most revolutionary movies of all time, so if you think that they're not that good, then you're just kind of objectively wrong.
It's like they're social pyromaniacs. They're starting fires everywhere for no reason, just to watch everything burn. Gender? Burn it down. Nope, nope. Men can be women, women can be men. It can't exist.
Oh my god, you sloppy turd. If men are trying to be women and women are trying to be men, that genuinely means that there are genders. It's not like they're saying that gender doesn't exist. They're just saying that they want to be the other gender. That is not the same thing.
Masculinity? Oh, that's toxic. We can't have any more masculinity. That's bad. Burn it down. Climate change. We're all going to be dead in 10 years. For AOC, it's become a pathology. No matter what happens, it's climate change, climate change, climate change.
Yeah, because all the top scientists in the world agree that climate change is definitely real and definitely a problem, Candace.
Then there's body positivity and fat acceptance. If you're on Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. Now they are pushing that there needs to be more acceptance for clinical obesity. I'm not talking about a couple of extra pounds. I'm talking about clinical obesity. If you don't like that, if you don't want to see that on the cover of magazines, well, that's your fault.
Yeah, fat shaming people that are clinically obese is a dick thing to do. And if you really have that much of a problem with seeing a fat person on a magazine, then don't buy the fucking magazine.
Let's revisit those topics in the context of a death cult. Ready?
No, not really, but you're gonna start anyway, so just go on ahead.
LGBTQ, the death to gender and masculinity, telling children they can pick their genders. What is that going to lead to? Well, it's going to lead to families that can't reproduce, right?
Candace, this is a perfect example of the slippery slope fallacy. Just because some people decide not to have babies doesn't mean that no one is going to be able to reproduce. That is an illogical leap in logic.
Same-sex marriages can't productively reproduce. If you're telling men to be women and women to be men, you're destroying the nuclear family.
Candace, you fucking fart sniffer. No, it's not destroying the traditional family. You know why? Because not every family has a gay or transgender kid. My God.
Fat acceptance. Well, what is fat? What is clinical obesity? It is the #1 killer in America today. Heart disease that comes from obesity. And yet they promote it. They want to put it on covers of magazines. They want to glamorize clinical obesity.
Candace, you can keep repeating this point, but you can never actually tell if someone is actually clinically obese. Take, for example, sumo wrestlers. They're fat as fuck, but they're actually extremely healthy. Weight does not work as a metric for obesity, Candace. Also, the only reason why there are less skinny twigs on magazines now is because the standards of beauty have changed.
Democrat leadership is committed to a different kind of death. They are committed to the death of our society. They are committed to the death of individualism, and they are ultimately committed to the death to freedom.
Kind of ironic, seeing as you're the one arguing against gays' right to get married.
We know this because Karl Marx wrote the book on it, and it seems now the Democrats in this country are performing a play on it. What they are after is obviously a totalitarian state. To put it in Star Wars terms, unlimited power.
Okay, I have a couple of problems with this 5-second clip. What Star Wars term is that? That's just a regular term. That's not an exclusive Star Wars term. Also, what? What does Karl Marx have to do with this? What does Marxism have to do with this? This has nothing to do with Marxism. My God.
Karl Marx described socialism as the transitory state between a capitalist society and a communist one. And we know that communism has been a long march of death and destruction. Leftism, when someone commits to it, is nothing but a long march of death and destruction.
Look at that smug ass face that she has. Candace, you could say this for anything. The Spanish Inquisition happened? Well, Catholicism has always been a long march of death and destruction. Except the thing here is that I actually gave an example for my claim, unlike you.
That's the bad news. The question now is there any hope? I know a lot of people wake up and they feel hopeless.
Yeah, I wake up and I see the comment section on this video being overly positive, and it makes me feel absolutely hopeless for the fate of humanity.
It feels like every day we are losing more and more of our country. Well, there is at least one quote that I love from the Star Wars movies, and this is it. We are the very last of the resistance, but we are not alone. In every corner of the galaxy, the downtrodden and the oppressed know our symbol, and they put their hope in it. That's powerful, because I believe it to be true today of America.
Look, I know this is kind of a dick move, but a really big pet peeve of mine is when these kind of conservatives call the United States of America just America. You do realize that America includes all of America, like North and South America. You know that, right? Okay, so I was originally gonna end the segment here, but oh my God, you gotta see this.
It's a good question. And it's all these people who fearmonger the most about climate change.
Climate change.
And fear is kind of the only tool they really have at this point.
I just don't get how they can get away with just constantly keeping Americans in a state of fear.
Well, I mean, they need to.
About the elite who practically now exists
to scoop people's brains out with a melon ball.
You're correct to say that everyone has been asleep at the wheel. It's astonishing even for me, and I wasn't in school that long ago, but to see what they're teaching now, I'm like, this is a whole different America. You're going to raise people that,
Hate American values, hate American principles, hate free markets, hate capitalism, and believe that everything is an issue because of what.
That's what they do when you call them out and they know you just pinged them with something they can't get out of.
Because they just go crazy and they do.
Their idea is that they have to counter you, the parent. You, the evil parent.
The evil traditionalist parent who teaches your kids that there's a difference between men and women.
They're taking their kids away from you. And if given power, these folks will do the exact same thing physically. They will take your kids away from you. Okay, this sounds like Chicken Little Sky is Falling stuff.
Okay, back to the original video.
Before we even get to Greta's absurd response, can we just talk about how it always is that the Democrat politicians always seem to have a conversation with their kids about every single time. Remember, how am I going to explain to my daughter that Hillary Clinton didn't win? Just tell her she didn't win, go make your bet. You know what I mean? Like, if they always seem to have a scenario where they can insert a child into to emotionally manipulate the rest of us, and they're thinking that this now needs to be addressed. This is the thing, is that the children have now become political props, and that's exactly what's happening here.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And what they're doing to the next generation is child abuse.
Right.
But the children who are saying this stuff, to me, those are victims. You want to talk about like victimhood and the terrible, terrible ways that they suffer, and they do. I mean, it's Orwellian the way that they suffer.
You're dealing with minors. It's the same premise as you can't, it's a similar premise, as the government forcing our children to participate in Drag Queen Story Hour, or learning about sexual activity in high school.
So everything from critical race theory to, like you said, sexualization of kids and the way that they're putting books out and some of the things they're talking about, subjects that they're bringing up. I said, what about chapel? Do you guys still have chapel? I mean, I thought that was, that you can't tell one kid that he's not gonna make it because of what he looks like, and then tell his buddy he's not gonna make it because of what you look like. That's what you're telling these kids.
I'm fucking done. Next section. Now, normally I would be dedicating this part of the video to debates that Miss Owens has had before. However, the problem with that is that she hasn't had any on-cam debates from what I've seen and from what I've been made aware of. Therefore, I'm gonna skip ahead and talk about her on PragerU and see how she does there. Are you ready? 'Cause I know I'm not.
You've heard about the black card, right? No, not the one from Visa or American Express. This one is much more valuable. There are entire organizations that have been built upon it, and individuals that have used it to acquire both wealth and influence.
As per usual with Candace, she provides no examples or any evidence whatsoever to actually back up her point.
You can call yourself a civil rights leader and shake down multinational corporations, or you can torch your own neighborhood because you didn't like the outcome of a grand jury verdict.
Capital injury. We're still taking metal, sharpened objects, missiles to include bottles and rocks, and hand-thrown chemical-grade fireworks. This is now effectively a riot.
49 hours declaring it a riot.
Ironically, the people you might think have the most legitimate claim to the black card refuse to use it. Take my grandfather, for instance. He raised me from the time I was 9 years old. Born in 1941 in rural North Carolina, he started working at age 5, laying out tobacco to dry on a sharecropping farm. Jim Crow, separate drinking fountains, and the KKK were ever-present realities. He was 17 when he married my grandmother. He made a living cleaning homes and office buildings until he saved up enough money to open his own cleaning business. The thing is, he never played any card, nor did my grandmother. If they had problems, they didn't blame anybody, they just fixed them. And they raised me to do the same. Chores were a requirement in their household. So was reading the Bible every morning before school. I didn't like the Bible readings and I hated the chores, but I realize now that these small acts of discipline, although sometimes stifling, had a strong, positive impact on my character. I was a first-generation college student. This was supposed to be the ticket to prosperity, but it wasn't. I left college with a mountain of debt and no practical skills. I had just $80 in my bank account and very few prospects. I could have given up. I could have dug deep into my history and declared myself a natural product of ancestral oppression. I could have played the black card and absolved myself of all responsibility for my own stupid decisions. Except I didn't, because it would have destroyed my grandfather's legacy. I'm proud that he had the fortitude to turn nothing into something, and I have no intention of reversing that something back into a nothing.
That's really nice, Candace. But the thing is that your anecdotal experience about your grandfather doesn't apply to everyone. Just because your grandfather had a claim to the black card and didn't use it doesn't mean that everyone that has a legitimate claim doesn't use it, Candace.
My attitude comes with a price, however. Because if you are born black and you don't accept your natural status as a victim, then the validity of your blackness is immediately called into question.
Proof? Can we get some proof, please? No? Oh, okay.
Well, so be it. If believing in myself, if accepting the responsibility for my failures somehow disqualifies me from owning an imaginary card, then let me be the first to declare that I don't want one.
Okay, Miss Queen, let me just tell you this. No one cares if you don't want your black card. Like, I don't know who you're arguing with right now, but no one gives a rat's ass that you don't want to have the black card. Like, no one cares.
And now for a brief history of slavery. Here's the first thing you need to know. Slavery was not invented by white people.
Oh shit, guys, she's got us. Fuck, what do we do? She used historical knowledge. Wait. That would have been a good argument if literally anyone said that.
And on occasion, served them for dinner. Slavery existed in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. The word slave actually comes from the Slavs of Eastern Europe. Millions of them, all white by the way, were captured and enslaved by Muslims in the 9th century and later by the Ottoman Turks.
Look at our girl go. Look at how much time she spent arguing against something that no one has ever said.
After centuries of human slavery, white men led the world in putting an end to the abhorrent practice. That includes the 300,000 Union soldiers, overwhelmingly white, who died during the Civil War. Now, am I saying that this makes white people better than anyone else? Of course not. My purpose here is to simply tell the truth, and the truth is that human history is complicated. No one, regardless of skin color, stands guiltless. Yet today we are never told to consider the murderous Persian Empire or the cannibalism of indigenous tribes of North and South America or the heinous actions under the imperialistic Muslim, Chinese, Mongol, or Japanese empires.
While I can't speak for all the empires just mentioned, at least the Mongol Empire had unique benefits to the labor. They actually got stuff done. All that Europeans did with the labor is make cash crops, which only help themselves.
Name just a few. Instead, we're told that slavery is a white phenomenon.
Literally no one believes this, Candace. Everyone knows there were slaves in Egypt.
Just like we hear nothing about how slavery was universal until good people in Europe and America ended it 2 centuries ago.
Sorry to break it to your narrative, Candace, but Abraham Lincoln is taught in schools. You know, you really gotta love that Candace Owens can't come up with any genuine points for why white people are supposedly oppressed when it comes to education. So she has to bullshit her way through like this whole thing saying that they're not honored for stopping slavery. Like, Candace, Abraham Lincoln is taught in schools. But anyway, enough of this section. Let's move on to the next one. So this is just a segment specifically for this video. It's an update on Shabibo. He decided in a recent move to try to be hip and cool with the youth to appeal to teenagers like me to start doing trendy things so that teenagers will watch their videos and hear their propaganda. This is hypocritical on several levels, but we're just gonna make fun of it for now. This is Ben Shapiro reacting to TikToks. Oh my.
Sometimes I feel the necessity to point out things that are happening on TikTok, mainly because this is the stuff your kids actually watch.
Don't try to be fucking high and mighty about this. We all know that this is just because it gets you views. Also, whose 5-year-old is going to be scrolling through trans TikTok?
So I was confronted yesterday on Twitter with a bizarre TikTok video about a phenomenon called Libra gender. Now, you may be confused at this point because you're a rational and sentient human being. And it is strange that every 2 seconds somebody is coming up with a new gender.
Okay, but Ben, answer me this question. Who fucking cares?
Dear Ben Shapiro,
I'm sorry to be the one to have to break this to you, but we do not care, not in the slightest particle of an imaginary thing, what you think.
That didn't help. So, Just want to point out that your kids actually watch this crap, and then they start to believe that you can identify as Libra gender.
I swear I sound like a fucking broken record. I am not going to repeat the same thing again. If you want to hear my response to this, look back at any other fucking time where they say something as stupid as these kids are watching this specific kind of TikTok. Yeah, sorry that segment was so brief. I just wanted to go through one of his stupid fucking videos. I wish that this was all a joke and that these videos didn't actually exist, but here we are. I mean, if you would have told me a year ago that Ben was going to be watching quote-unquote insane woke TikTok, I would have laughed you off. But the worst has come to pass, I guess. Back to Facecam. So that's Candace Owens, and a brief update on Ben Shabibo. Unfortunately, we are only 2/5 of the way done with our excursion to hell, but at least we're done with Candace and Ben. Thanks a lot, guys. On the support on the last video, by that I mean the one on Jacksepticeye's dad's trolls. That video is my highest received, and I really appreciate it. I was planning on a follow-up, but school happened, and the video would have come out way too late. So you guys can see the screenshot that I was gonna show in my video of the Discord server in my Discord server in the description below. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you.